Hello. So yet again, another random and spontaneous video. That seems to be happening. You're not watching this video. A thought might arise that you are watching this video. But that's an illusion. If you look in direct seeing, where is the you, the me character that's watching this video? It isn't. There's no me character here. There never was. It's okay, there's nothing right or wrong with believing that you are an imagined character. There's nothing right or wrong with seeking to see through that illusion. And there's nothing right or wrong if you have realized clearly that there is no self. Because all of that that's just being said is just a story that also appears in this timelessness. If you are seeking, then you will not find anything. Because you're seeking for something that does not exist. Because the only, let's call it reality, the only reality that exists is this appearance. There's nothing else. So how could you find something else? It's an impossibility because there's only this immediacy. There's no word for it. Let's just call it an immediacy, an experience, an appearance, a screen, a presence, an awareness, consciousness. There's all these labels and words to attempt to point to what is. But this that's appearing is completely unknown. That feeling that you exist, nobody knows what that is. You don't know what it is. I don't know. No one knows what this is or why it's here. No one's ever found out, and no one will ever find out. So this message is the end of seeking. It's the end of wanting to know. It's the end of wanting this to be another way. It's just the end of needing to know. Because when it's been seen clearly that whatever is appearing is all that there is, well, there's just nothing else. There's nothing to find. There's nowhere to get to. You know, show me something that isn't this. There's nothing outside of this immediacy. Now, thoughts will challenge that. So the imagined me character and the imagined story will believe that there is something else. But if you look closely, them thoughts and beliefs don't appear outside of this immediacy. Everything, all appearances, can only arise in this immediacy, and that includes any thoughts, fantasies of the future, memories of the past. Everything can only appear, I'll say, now on this screen or in this unknown existence. So everything that's ever appeared, everything that's ever seemed to have happened in your imagined past has always only happened here on this screen. So you've never moved, you've never been anywhere. It can appear that time is real, and it can appear that distance is real, but they are imagined stories. So what's being shared here is it's not complicated at all. It's ridiculously simple and blatantly obvious as well, if it can be seen. And there's no advice or teaching here. I'm just talking about what seemed to have happened here. And I don't know why it's happened here, and it seems to have happened to other apparent people where let's call it a shift or a change in perspective of once believing in being that character and believing in, really taking it personally, seriously as well, that you are this imagined character, that you were born, you had a past, you've got all these stories and all this shit that's happened to you and things you've done to others, events that have happened that you feel has shaped who you are today. And also the belief in that there's a future, and there's going to be future stories and events that happen, and eventually you will die. So, that seems to be the common illusion, the common belief that most selves, is it right to use the word, the trapped? You kind of trapped in that illusion. And for whatever reason, that can be seen through, and seeing that it's all thought-based, and it's an imagined story. It's an imagination that's appearing now in this immediacy. So there is no doer. You know, I'm not making this up. It's a fact. There is no self-character. There's no separation. There's no separate me character. There's no doer. There's no one inside your body that's moving that body and making choices. There's no one that's ever made a choice. Choices happen. The body moves, but you're not doing that. It's just a complete thought-based narrative. All characters, you, your friends, your family, mum, dad, your son, your daughter, all of them are imagined. The bodies seem to appear, but when you look at a body, immediately after looking at the body, an imagined story then creates this character, a thought-based character. It's not there. There's no characters here. And that belief in a character needs the belief in time. If you remove time, not that you can because there is no time, but in the story you believe that there's time. There isn't any time. You know, if you just look, there's no time. Time is completely imagined. Once that's seen, here that was the biggest illusion, one of the hardest illusions to break through or see through. Once the illusion of time, I'm going to say collapses, even though it doesn't, it's just seen that it was never there, that there's only ever this immediacy. Once the illusion of time collapses, then all the stories and all the characters fall away with it. And then you're just left with what is, which has always been the case. It's always been this way. Hope that made sense. But it just seems that, in particular, spirituality or religions, they make it so fucking complicated. What surprises me, teachers like Eckhart Tolle or Rupert Spira, I've got nothing against them. I'm sure they're lovely people, and it's all innocent anyway. Whatever's happening, there's no doer. But what surprises me is that it seems that a lot of people have a clear seeing of what's being shared here. But then go on to try to teach how to have a clear seeing of this. But there's no doer. It's such a contradiction. There's nothing right or wrong with it. It's just what's happening. There's no one doing that. There's no one inside Eckhart Tolle's body or Rupert Spira's body or this body or your body. They're just that's just your imagination. There's no one here. There's just oneness. There's wholeness. But there's nothing wrong with the teaching either, because it's just what's happening. There's no one doing that. But it just surprises me how a body-mind organism can have a clear seeing of this and then teach it, because it's just, you know, that just assumes there's a me that can teach another person, but there's no me or there's no other. But then teaching can be an appearance that arises in this. It's the same with time as well. So this is timeless, but it can appear as time. There's so many paradoxes. So my thoughts just arose here now. And again, I didn't choose this thought. So you cannot choose. Any thoughts that arise are not yours. There's no you. You're not already. Thoughts arise. It's just a movement of energy. You can't choose your next thought. Like a thought, I was just saying that a thought arose here now of karma. So obviously there's tons and tons of videos about karma. You know, what you give, you receive. I'm not quite sure what the dictionary definition of karma is, but you get the gist of it. And again, it's another imagined story. You know, you've only got to look around society, and there seems to be a lot of people that receive a lot. They receive a lot of, I mean, it works both ways. So some people receive a lot of good things and goodness. Some people receive a lot of shit, a lot of negativity or hardship. But the idea of karma is a complete imagined story. I mean, there's so many people that receive so much goodness, yet they could appear to be not very pleasant people, and they don't really give or help others, yet they receive so much. And equally, you could have someone living in poverty or hardship, difficulty and suffering, yet they're really nice, kind, loving people, and they give, yet they're struggling. So you know, this message is it's the end of seeking. It's the end of all them stories. It's so simple. You know, you can go down all the spirituality practices and traditions and techniques, but all there ever is what is. This timeless immediacy doesn't, I don't want to say it doesn't care, it doesn't mind what happened or seemed to have happened before it. There's no cause or effect. Whatever's appearing is just appearing as it is for no reason. It just is. There's no doer. You can't get anything. You can't do anything to influence or affect this immediacy. Because there is no self. This message is the end of guilt, the end of shame, the end of pride. Because you've never done anything. No one's ever done anything to you. You've never ever made a decision. Now it can appear in the story that you have done things and people have done things to you and that you've made lots of decisions and that you've got things that you're guilty of and ashamed of and that you're really proud of. But that's the illusion. That's what's been exposed. There seems to be an imagined story. And what's amazing about this unknown existence is it seems to be doing it for billions of people simultaneously. I mean, how the hell does this even pull this off? I mean, how on earth is this even here? It doesn't need to be explained. This is what I mean. You can get really caught up in a mind fuck if you try to understand what this is. How could you ever understand what this is? That's impossible because there's no you anyway, but the very act of thinking comes from this. This can't know itself. You could say you are this. But not you, the imagined me character, because that's just a thought that appears in this. So you cannot be aware of this, let's call it consciousness. You can't be aware of this because this is actually what you are. Again, that's another spiritual trap. If people believe that they're now a higher self, they really believe that now I am aware of this. But that's dualism. That's you being aware of this. There's not two, there's just this. That's where spiritual enlightenment is a trap, because spiritual enlightenment is assuming there's a you that can become enlightened. But I mean, if I was going to define what this is, what I'm sharing, I would say that it's the recognition that there is no you. There's no one here. There's no one who could become enlightened. Like, spiritual enlightenment is a joke, to be honest. It's ridiculous how anyone could say that they are enlightened. I would say there is enlightenment, which is just this that's appearing is enlightenment, however it appears. But if you're identified with a me character looking for enlightenment, how could you find it when it's already the case? I mean, it's game over for the seeker. When this has been seen, I'll say clearly, there's just nowhere else. This is it. And you can't control how it appears or how it is. Because there is no free will. That implies a doer. But there's no doer, there's no me character inside your body, there's no one blinking your eyes. It just happens by itself. There's no one responsible for the next thoughts that arise or whether you choose to act on them thoughts or not. That feeling that seems to be appearing for you right now, whether that's you might be in a really good mood, I don't know, you might be feeling really down and depressed right now. It's okay, it's just how it is. You can't change it. There's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do. There's no doer. So this message is it's just I want to say it's a hopeless message. But then that's the freedom of not wanting this to be another way. That's enlightenment. Allowing or seeing that this is as it is. But you won't have it. The me character won't have it. So if you really believe that you're inside your body, if you really believe that you're there's a boundary between your skin and the outside world, and you believe that you're in the center of that room that you're in, or you're in a location, and you really feel like there's a world around you and all these characters, then you can't really hear this message. Because this message is saying that there is no time or space. Only the appearance of it through thinking, through thoughts. But if you really believe that there is time and space, and you really believe in all them thoughts, then well, you kind of you're stuck in like a dream illusion, because it's not actually happening. Is it? That thought-based narrative that seems to be appearing is not actually happening. Only this is happening. not even happening. It just is. I don't want to say the problem, but I think the issue to the me character is it wants drama, it wants excitement, it wants the next, it needs stimulation, it needs to feel alive. It wants to survive, it wants to feel real. But it's not there. It actually isn't there. That's how powerful the imagination and how powerful the belief in the illusion can be. There's nothing right or wrong with it. You're not doing that. There's no do. There's no one. There's no one to blame, or there's no one responsible for having a clear seeing of this or being completely identified with the illusory me character. It's just what's appearing to happen. The seeker, the seeking me character, is the only obstacle to prevent a clear seeing of this. That's why I say it's the end of seeking, because it's realised that there is no seeker. I hope this is making sense, because I know sometimes it can, the mind can again overcomplicate it and overthink it. You don't need to overthink this at all. You don't have to think to see what is. If your memory was completely wiped right now and your capacity to think was removed, this would still appear. This can't switch off. It never started. So there actually is nothing that you need to do. Now, relatively, it might seem like there's a lot of shit going on and you've got stuff that you need to do that you're responsible for. That's the illusion. It's either going to happen or it's not. It's going to get done or it's not. So doing can appear to happen, but you're not doing it. Or not doing might appear to happen, but you're not doing the not doing. You can't be anywhere else other than what is. That's an impossibility. That's an imagined story. This can't be another way. If you think that you need to do something to improve, or you need to do something needs to happen to put you at ease, then that's an illusion. This doesn't give a shit about what you think. I know it sounds harsh, that because the thoughts do actually come from this and then fall back into this. But if you look closely, the thought narrative is irrelevant to what's happening, to what seems to be appearing. I mean, it sounds like a teaching this, but if you can rest in this immediacy, it's completely safe. Even if it appears that it's not, because it can't be any other way. Death is an illusion. Even the death, even ego death, so the death of the me character. I mean, here that seems to have been what's died, but it's realized it's never been there. So you can't. So ego death is even an illusion. There's never been an ego. There's just this immediacy. Now, obviously, the body, the human body, is going to die. But this is just an appearance that arises in this immediacy. This immediacy, you could say that this immediacy is what you are, or it's unknown, this complete unknown isness will always be. I've mentioned on other videos, really try to imagine not being. It's impossible. I always remember that when I was a kid. I don't know why. It's when I was young, very young, I used to try to imagine what it's like not to be. If you sit with that for a while, it's quite fascinating. Sounds like a pointer or a teaching, but I found it really interesting, that one. That feeling that you exist. Well, it can never not be. And I'm not talking about the imagined me character. I'm talking about this in which that imagined me character appears. And that imagined me character can only appear as a thought. It's just a complete thought-based construct. So this moment, let's call it a moment that's appearing right now, it can only be whole and complete. Because it can't be any other way. This is all that exists. But the thoughts will say otherwise. The thoughts will create images of this being another way, but they're just thoughts that arise now in this timeless immediacy. It's a joke, really. If it's I mean, here, I don't know what it's been like for you, but here, I memories arise here of my past, and so it sounds like I'm being harsh on myself here, but I was like a seeking parasite, and I think most people are. It's just want me. What's next? And if that's not happening, then it's these memories of the past will appear, and then you can flood yourself with stress or guilt or shame or fucking why did that happen, or why did he do this to me or she do that to me, or why did I do that to her or him, and or the comparing, comparing my life with other people's lives. I mean that's a big one, I think, in society. All that just fucking collapses. There's only what's appearing to happen. Game over. That's it. And there's no doer. There's no self to achieve anything or gain. Them things might happen. So just because there's been a clear seeing here, next week, not that there is a future, but let's say in the story, hypothetical fantasy, next week a catastrophe might happen here, or a huge success might happen. I'm not responsible for that. And this is where it gets a bit tricky, because relatively there is responsibility and consequences. If I go walking around the street and cause some violence to somebody, I could find myself in prison. And this might trigger some people. If that happened, it's actually, there's no doer behind them thoughts that led up to that, or the actions. It's really hard to explain when you get into these territories. Again, I do try to keep it simple on the videos, because you can go into some deep conversations with people about this, but it's like the whole legal system and the whole political system. There's nothing right or wrong with anything. There is no doer. There's one doer, if you like. There's oneness, there's wholeness that's running this show. All the bodies are completely puppets. I know it sounds harsh, that. But there's a massive relief and freedom to this. Isn't that obvious? If there's no doer, some people might find it terrifying. I find it quite liberating. Just like the body breathing, just happening by itself. I'm not claiming to know some secret knowledge, or I'm not saying that this is a mystical state, or that I'm special and I've had this amazing awakening and I'm going to teach you how to do this. Absolutely not. All I'm sharing is that for decades, I was completely mind fucked into believing in this me character and believing in all the shit and the stories, and I'm feeling like I'm responsible. And it for whatever, it happened here through a series of glimpses. I've obviously been a seeker for decades. Most of you have watched the videos now. I was watching Non-Duality videos for 5 years. All I'm sharing is that me character is completely thought-based. It's an illusion that you've got no control over, and it isn't there, and it's never been there. All that exists is this appearance, this timeless immediacy that's in your face, and it's always only ever been that way. It's a joke. But it's all right saying that, and you might be able to understand it with intelligence. But here anyway, it seemed like again, it sounds like you've got to talk in the relative story of time in order to explain it. But there did seem to be a process of glimpses and shifts in awareness, going back and forth, and then testing it as well. It's like, is this actually really all there is? And yes, this is actually all there is. And it was terrifying. It was frightening on some of the glimpses I had here. There is no time. There's the appearance of time, a thought-based appearance of time. Time can only appear as a thought. So if you want to really believe in a thought, then that's okay. I'm not saying there's anything right or wrong with that. It's just that here, that belief in a thought has been seen through. There's nothing else. So you can't see through what is, because what is just is. It's just you got no control of what is. And it's total freedom. I would say it's the only. I said I was a seeker for decades. Truth seeker. I needed to know what this is. Obsessive seeking, religions, conspiracy theories, non-duality videos, spirituality videos, all the books. And I would say now it's undeniable that there's no seeking. It's absolutely, completely gone. Because it's been seen, it's undeniable. When this has been seen clearly and you cannot unsee it, there's nothing else to find. There's nothing to find. There's only what's appearing. You can't do, there's nothing. Where else would, where is anywhere else? And that's the relief. But again, this sounds like in the relative story, I have to try and explain it using the imagined story time. It took a while for the mind or the thoughts, there's no mind. It seems to have took a while for the thoughts to slow down. Now that sounds like there's a doer that can do something to slow the mind down or the thoughts down. It's not, there isn't, it's just what happened here. And then the nervous system took time to calm down also. It's a fucking joke. You know, there's a lot more relaxation. I don't, you know, these videos, it sounds like it's all about me and me, but I'm just, how else can I talk? How else can I explain what I'm trying to point to, or, you know, how it seemed to have happened here? You know, like, that's just the way it is. I was going to say something then, I forgot now. Doesn't matter. Yeah, it's more relaxing here now, because it's just obvious. There's no doer. So naturally, if that's really, you know, I don't mean on an intelligence level. I mean, um, from your senses, if you can, you know, let's call it an experience. There's an experience that seems to be here, and it's more of a sensory experience now. And when I say sensory experience, I mean, I know thoughts and feelings can appear in this unknown existence, but it's realized now there's no doership behind the thoughts or the feelings or anyone else's. So I think naturally the body and the thoughts, well, they seem to relax here, or there's just less identification with it, or less giving a shit about it, or taking it seriously. I don't know, but there's more of a relaxation and a relief here, rather than stressing and worrying and thinking I need to do something, or why do I feel like this, or why are them thoughts happening to me? It's just, no, there's a feeling here. Them thoughts are arising here. Something that might need doing might get done, might not get done. You can't go right or wrong because you're not doing it. So, you know, if you need to turn left or turn right, you're not doing that. It's just what's happening. And there's a deep peace to that. It's very uncertain, obviously, because, well, there's no certainty anyway. It's just whatever. It seems, I mean, this sounds like a paradox, but there seems to be more time now. I mean, what a joke that is. I'll try and explain this. So even though all I talk about is that there is no time, and this immediately is timeless, at least I seem to have more time to do things. And I think maybe a lot of that is due to the fact that there's no fucking seeking here anymore. I mean, I'm only guessing, but I can only guess at how many hours a day I would spend, you know, watching YouTube videos or reading books, seeking. And again, there's nothing right. I'm not saying there's anything right or wrong with any of that. It's just, that's just what's that. There's no doer. There's no one doing that. You can't choose to stop seeking. You can't choose to be a seeker. You know, if you would have asked me 5 years ago, could I sit and look outside of my window for 3 hours looking at the trees, there'd be absolutely no fucking chance. I'd need to be doing something. You know, that striving and seeking and chasing and what's next, got to do this, all that shit needs doing. But now it seems to be, you know, I could sit here for hours and it would seem like the body's not doing much, and it's just what's happening. And, you know, a thought might arise, think, well, you should be doing something, you know, you need to be doing something productive, but it's just seeing now that that's just a thought that appears in this. You can't decide to act on that thought or not. That's what I mean, you can't go right or wrong with it. And it sounds a bit like a surrender or passive. It's really hard to explain, you know, because we seem to be in this society of doing as much as we can, you know, working long hours to be successful. Again, that's just what's happening, you know, to some bodies. But this that's just here right now cannot be any other way. And there's no you here in this. There's the thoughts of you, the imagine me character that can appear in this, but that's what I said earlier, they're just thoughts that arise in this. The thoughts are nothing. Thoughts are just a movement of energy that appears in this, just like a car passing by. Comes and goes, and this brand new, it's always brand new. This is always brand new. When you walk into your kitchen later, it will appear brand new. It's a brand new appearance. Nothing solid. I didn't choose to make this video. Honestly, I had no plans of making a video today. I was out running. I did a 10k run this morning, and I was doing my run, and thoughts were arising as I was running about, you know, maybe doing some work when I get home. And I've ended up doing very little today. I'm making a video. It's just, there's no doer. And then some days, I think, was it Friday last week? God, I was so busy at work, really, really productive, really feeling motivated. That's what I'm saying. You cannot choose that, them thoughts, feelings, actions. That's why one day you could feel so motivated and productive, and you're just like, let's get loads of shit done, feeling, you know, and then another day you just can't be asked and not much gets done. You can't choose any of that. And there's no wonder the me character suffers, because it feels like it can do something, but it can't. That's what I mean. The me character nearly always wants this to be another way. That's suffering. And, well, what's a bit of a joke as well is even the resistance to this, or the thoughts that this should be another way, is also this appearing as them thoughts. That's what I mean. It's completely hopeless. Total free fall. You cannot grab this or change it or do anything with it. It just is as it appears. And I suppose the freedom really is in the it's in the realization that it cannot be another way. The not knowing. See, the me character lives in time. It needs to know what's next, and it'll try to do what it can to manipulate this or change this. But the me character isn't. It's not there. It never has been. Yeah, so I don't know what else to say really. Probably just leave it there. So there's no one speaking these words. Words just happen. Hearing just happens. As I said, there's no one making this video. You're not watching this video. Well, thank you for watching. It's really appreciated. And thank you for everyone who's supporting the channel. I've been making videos for about 10 months now, and it seems to be thousands of people who've subscribed and resonating with what's being shared here. And then, there's lots of other non-dual speakers out there as well that seem to be on the same kind of resonance as what's being shared here. But as I said earlier, there just seems to be a lot of video or channels out there, spirituality channels that will teach or give you techniques or practices that will help you get to a certain place in a future. And what's being shared here is that there is no future. The future is an impossibility. It's never arrived. The future cannot arrive because there's only ever this immediacy. So there's nothing you can do. But there's nothing wrong with the teaching or the practices or the techniques either. That's just what's happening. There's no doer. But all that's being pointed to here is what is. And what is not different here than where it is for you. So the consciousness or awareness, presence, or that sense of existence is exactly the same here as it is for where you are. It's done already. This is what you're looking for. You can't do anything to get to what is already. But yeah, thank you for watching, and hope you have a nice day.